Hello and welcome to the DC Breeze game. My name is Greg Esser and I'm here with John Pressimone. You may be surprised to hear my voice in the background and see John Pressimone on the field, and that's not just our crazy ability to move locations or broadcast and play simultaneously. We're actually doing this after the fact, and we're kind of using that unique perspective of having been at the game to review this footage and kind of broadcast it and put it out here on the internet, so anyone that was unable to make it out to our game in Falls Church is able to view the game now. So the game here has been, a lot of the footage has been removed, or not really the game footage itself has been removed, but a lot of the downtime, so we're going to fit it into a nice little hour-long box, and we're going to provide a little bit of play-by-play as the Breeze take on the Toronto Rush, and we're also going to provide a little commentary. I'm going to ask Press kind of some of his feelings on the team this year, and kind of what was going through his head and maybe the team's head and the team's huddles as they called timeouts and everything as this game progressed. So we're already on to the first point here, and instead of doing a little play-by-play, I'm going to ask Press maybe what he's most excited about. The Breeze have changed a lot of faces this year. What's really the most exciting thing about the Breeze this year? What's most exciting about the personnel changes?
I think the most exciting thing about the Breeze is the personnel change. We were able to bring in a lot of talent. Dutchy as our coach, he's an awesome mind for Ultimate, and really attacking this new style of Ultimate for him because he's only coached or played the USAU club style, and so now expanded to the bigger field and being able to use the timeouts effectively and strategically. So that's been good, and also some of the players: Tyler DiGirolamo, Alex Thorne, Brett Mazuka, John Stone, Logan Ryan. These huge names, huge players that are coming up and playing with us, that are making a big difference on our team. Yeah,
so you rattled off a laundry list of names there, though, but if you could narrow it down to maybe one guy that you're most excited about sharing a line with of all those new guys, because I think the Breeze only returning, so there are 28 guys on the roster last year. I think only 8 of those guys are returning this year. A lot of new faces. Who of those new 20 guys, you're on the spot now, are you most excited about playing with this year?
Oh, man. Can I say 2?
You can say 2.
Oh, thank you. That's a good compromise. Brett Mazuka is one. Just in practice, his throws are ridiculous. Like, there's absolutely nothing that's...
Ooh, big turn by the rush there. Breeze got a shot on offense, so I'm going to interrupt you, too. That was exciting.
It's fine.
So Brett's one.
And I think Logan Ryan's another, man. He's a great athlete, and just... been playing for a while, so knows a lot about the sport, and really just a good motivator too.
And now he's coming from the club scene he played in Ohio, yeah? I think he's a Mad Cal guy, or used to be once upon a time.
Maybe. I he was in New Zealand for a couple of years.
Okay.
And now he's back and came out for us.
Okay.
Which is good.
Cool. So some of the we won't ignore the game entirely here. So this is the Rush's first offensive possession. The Breeze already went up 1-0, and it was actually a score, I think, by newcomer Ty DiGirolamo. And the Rush lost the disc on kind of a atypical throwaway there, but got it back. And now they're trying again, and it looks like they're threatening here early. That's going to tie it up at 1, I think. Yep, and that's a score. So a lot of exciting personnel changes. How would you kind of characterize maybe some more of? I mean, last year we played on a team that went. For those that might not know, I was on the Breeze last year, so I have a little bit of perspective, at least on 8 of the guys. And we played on a kind of, I would say, a looser clubhouse, right? We went 4-12, but some of the structure in between games, I'd say, was dare I say, lacking a little bit. Like, we kept it pretty casual and pretty loose, and maybe didn't hold ourselves to that higher standard. A throwaway, but a save by, is that Jano?
Mm-hmm.
Jano with a save, and he puts it right to Thorne. Great streak to the end. Not quite in the end zone. He's going to dump it off. And looks like we're going to see a little handler give and go looking for a space here. Thorne again. Finding Jano. Just keeping the disc moving here as the stall counts. So there's Jano. So anyway, my train of thought was we had a kind of looser, more casual clubhouse last year. Is that similar to the feel that's been in practice so far, or has that changed a lot?
Sorry, what do you mean by looser clubhouse?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess, I don't know. I'm thinking that, at least in terms of kind of how serious we took ourselves last year.
No, we're taking ourselves very seriously. We are all kind of of the mindset we're playing to get the playoff. We're playing to take the league. And practices are as much as that. everyone's pushing each other. We send out a lot of emails to each other who's doing what workouts. Since our team is very geographically spread out with some guys in Pittsburgh, some guys in North Carolina, some guys in Baltimore and D.C., we can't have like weekly practices like other professional teams may be able to. So a lot of it's work that we do on our own, and everyone's pushing each other to be the best they can be, and really just put in the work, put in the time on our own so that we can be all the team that we want to be, which is good, not 4-12.
Yeah. So maybe I'll ask you another question here, put you on the spot again. So that was another Breeze score, and I think it was also a Breeze offensive possession. So if memory serves, I'll put the Breeze 2-1, but everything's on par so far.
It's 2s now.
Oh, it's 2s now, sorry.
Yeah, Rush scored.
Oh, that was a Rush offensive possession, and now, so it's 2-2, and the Breeze taking their third offensive possession of the game. Here's Liam Schranko with the disc. Looks up line to 87. I don't have an 87 in my notes. I don't know who that is. It's a tie. It might have been tie, 81. So then maybe I'll ask you the hard question here, or maybe try to put you on the spot again, which is to say, you said that kind of your success criteria for the team is playoffs or championship. Would you say that anything but maybe an appearance in the championships is not succeeding on this team? Is that the expectation for yourself?
I think that we obviously want to be the best team we can be. It's really hard to say what our success would be without playing, any of the Midwest or East or West teams. I think we have the ability to be the best team in the West, in the East. That's what Coast we're on. And so like.
What that says to me is that anything but an appearance in the finals is not success, as you guys have defined it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll be happy getting to the playoffs and putting up a good showing there. But I know, at least me personally, I want to get to the championship. Yeah. But I'm sure every team is saying that at this point too. So
sure, but I'm trying to kind of determine maybe if there were success criteria you set for yourself in one of those opening huddles or team meetings. Or something.
Yeah, we sat down and. The biggest thing for us this year is not.
And there's a good find for the Rush, and that's going to be a score. Knotted up at 3s.
A big thing for us is process. Like it's, you can have, actual goals and process goals, and we are focusing on the process goals. There are things we want to work on that we want to improve with that are more important to us than just finding. Like we want to beat this team. We want to have a record like this. We want to. Be a team that has shut down defense.
Wow, the big fly there. Thorne puts the big fly to Ty, and Ty brings it in right on the end zone line and finds immediately Thorne again.
Logan Ryan.
Oh, that's Logan Ryan, sorry. Not quite a full field give and go. Sorry, I interrupted you again, but okay, so I mean that makes sense. I mean, all the teams obviously are saying right now that the playoffs is what they want, but I don't know. I mean, that's certainly a change in mentality from last year, at least, if you're saying that it's kind of playoffs or bust at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
So here, the Rush take over on offense, and I think this is the first appearance, looks like, of a little bit of a double-team kind of zone that's being thrown by the Breeze, which is interesting. Something that wasn't done a lot last year. There was a lot of double-teaming the Breeze showed, but it was mostly limited to sideline plays. But this is, the whole group is moving together. The Rush find a big swing up line and take a shot right away. But it looks like they overthrow their intended mark there. So the Breeze are going to take over, get a good shot to break right here. And that's Logan Ryan playing deep there?
That is AJ, Alex Jacozzi. You call him AJ.
Okay, AJ Jacozzi. So those two guys, I think, even when I was announcing this game, I was mixing up a little bit. So I'll get it right. Brett picks up the disc and takes a shot right away. And finds his guy, and that's Logan again. Oh, it's AJ.
That is AJ.
Ben Fang with the disc. Finds Brett. Brett fakes a hammer there. And turns around, get a little dump. Finds some upfield movement. Some really nice movement here by the Breeze, just keeping the disc. And the same thing, I mean, for a D-line that looks to take their chances, certainly if you look at the management style of new coach Dutchie, it's a D-line that likes to take its chances. And they do, and they did, and they got most of the field length, the length of the field that way. But once they got there, They really proved capable of moving it around, too. So that's a big break for the Breeze. That's an early break, and that's something that not a lot of teams did to the Rush last year. So looks like we're going to have an exciting game to watch today. See if they throw that double teaming defense again. I don't know. So that maybe that's a question. It doesn't look like they are. And do you think that's a factor of the wind in this game? The Breeze are prepared to kind of throw it one way and not the other.
A little bit. It is kind of an effective throw.
Oh my gosh! What a great catch.
It's an effective zone in certain situations, but it's kind of like all zones. You don't want to throw it too often that a team will get used to it.
So you think it was more about changing up the look than it was about the weather?
A little bit, and I remember the wind was going that direction as well, that we could throw it and be confident about it.
And the Rush stuff it in that time, but the damage is done. The break is done there. So here the Breeze go back on offense. I mean, it was a pretty beautiful day. I have to. I mean, from sitting up there in the booth, I felt a little breeze occasionally, but a little breeze. Actually, maybe we should think of clever announcer nicknames. I'll be the windbag. You can be Little Breezy.
Sounds good.
So a little bit more about kind of what the Breeze's plan for the season of these broadcasts is. I should be able to broadcast every game. And then what my goal is going to be is to pull in either a different player or maybe a former player or maybe a former person that's been coached by Dutchie to kind of broadcast the games with me. And so that way, today I can give you a little bit of Press's perspective, but in the future we'll get different team members and different perspectives about either the semi-pro game or the club scene or Dutchie's coaching and all of the above. So it should be a pretty exciting season for the 7 home games for the Breeze. The Breeze stuffed that one in pretty quick, and they're going to put the Rush back on offense, and here we have another appearance going the other way, so the wind maybe not as big of a factor, as Press suggested, and it's going to be that two-man zone kind of following and double-teaming a little bit. And again, a big look-up field finds the Rush wing. That big field, it's hard to do that zone. Wow, and a great dude. That's Frankie Hazara laying out, getting the hammer that goes over the top. It's a big momentum shift. Not a lot of smiles there from Frankie, though. He's all business. So then talk to me a little bit more about maybe some of the offense we're seeing here today. I mean, obviously this is the D-line running the offense, but this looks like a hoe stack. Is the Breeze responsible for running every type of offense this year, or you think it's going to be a go-to split stack or a go-to hoe stack? What's going to be the situation here, you think?
We definitely, kind of for now, we started with the hoe stack.
And there you are. Press with the disc. Finds Frankie in the backfield. But a throwaway there by Frankie.
It's both it's kind of modified. We've been working on different handler sets and different, upfield cutter sets. This is try and take advantage of the really wide field. There's a lot of room to run to, and so we've been kind of working on how to most effectively use that space that makes us a threat, and also...
there's a score by the Rush.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're shopping around. You're looking at some different sets. So in this early season, I mean, granted that you haven't had months and months to practice. You've been together for 2 months about now or so as a team. What have been the ones that you've focused on thus far? Has it been the hoe stack primarily, as we saw there?
It's kind of been a modified hoe stack with handlers a little farther back, like the center handler is up, and then the 2 other handlers are back.
Okay.
And then the wings. The side cutters are a little closer to the disc as well. Just kind of use them as an alternate dump, maybe generate some opposite field hucks.
Okay. And there's a find. Oh, through Wu's fingertips. Can't reel it in. That was a tough one. The Rush are going to take over on offense here. So from the sounds of it, then you're playing. It sounds like a hoe stack that is prioritizing keeping the disc moving more so than its deep presence. Mm-hmm. If you're really trying to especially evolve those wings in the backfield. I don't know. So the thing I'm always most interested in, because I feel like it's the newest of the stacks, at least for a lot of the club teams, that's in vogue right now, is maybe a side stack. Has that been part of practice so far?
Not yet. We worked on a new stack or a new system this past weekend. We had practice on Sunday after this game, and worked on some other things to kind of find the things that weren't working with this game and improve them for our next game against Rochester. Side stack is not one of them. It's more of a more vertical style.
Okay. So it's the vert and the hoe that you're really transitioning between at this point. Up, and a big fly goes up, and it finds its guy. It looks like it falls a little bit short, but right into the arms of the receiver. And this is the O-line you're getting to see play defense for the Breeze. And it looks like, I think, was it a penalty there?
It was a timeout call.
It was a timeout, and I think that was a Toronto timeout, so maybe you're going to see both lines switch a little bit. Yep. And actually that's exactly what you saw, because you've got a D-line there for the Breeze, and there's Aaron Roberts with a foul on the mark. So 10 yards is the way that is resolved in the semi-pro game. And that gives him pretty good field positioning here, 10 yards out from the end zone. And a big loopy throw around, finds its mark. Not quite in the end zone, though. Oh, but a great deep. Was that Ben Fang? Mm-hmm. Wow. Oh, no, that was. So big chance then for this fresh legs DC Breeze D-line. A big put. Can't find its mark. And so it's the end of the quarter. And so the interesting thing about the semi-pro game again then is that at the end of quarters, and so here's our score so far. The Breeze actually leading the 2013 champion Rush, a big difference from how these two teams played last year. But so the end, to talk about the end of the quarter there, and I didn't realize it was coming right up on us, is that as the clock winds down, you can still throw the disc, right? If the disc is in the air when time expires, you still play it through to the conclusion of that throw. And that's led to some interesting macking and some last-minute skies and scores. Makes the game pretty exciting. But the Rush, of course, not able to reel that one in. So then you mentioned earlier, Press, a little bit of the challenges that you're overcoming in playing on this geographically diverse team. You got folks coming in from North Carolina, you got folks coming in from Pittsburgh, you got folks in Baltimore, you got folks in D.C. Even the local guys are spread over an hour and a half kind of area. Mm. And that's a little bit different from certainly the Rush. It's a little different from the Philadelphia Phoenix, that have a big core of guys that all play on the same club team together. You got guys that are geographically diverse, but also probably not more than 4 or 5 guys that are on the same club team. Do you think how do you think that's influenced the young season so far, and then how do you think things will change with the team as the season progresses here, and you've got this diverse group of guys?
Yeah, well, obviously the biggest thing you need in any team is chemistry, and so we had 2 mini camps back in March, where we had practice all day, like 4 hours on Saturday, and then practice on Sunday, and so the out-of-town guys came in for those, and so with that we were able to kind of, being a group of guys that had not played together before, start building our chemistry. But I only see that getting stronger throughout the season, and kind of learning who likes what and what's our effective way of cutting, who's going to make what throw, who's going to go what direction. And so I feel like we're already starting to click really well now. Like I talked about that process earlier, we're starting to really fit into where we want to be.
Yeah, talking about chemistry, that did not look like, it was, I guess, an execution error, but and another execution error. So maybe both teams are doing it regardless in this young season. Mm-hmm. Sorry. So you said you hope to build on this chemistry. So that's interesting that you've got such a challenge like the Rush here today, the returning and undefeated team from last year. Mm. And in the first quarter, the Breeze already up 6-5. Interesting that chemistry that I think a lot of people talk about as this big intangible to the game, instantly looking like not or maybe a factor for both teams in this young season, and therefore, as much as the Rush have a big core of guys that all play club together, can be overcome with a couple kind of boot camps, a couple of these training camps you mentioned in March. So. And if you actually back it up just a little bit there, you saw a triple team, which is pretty rare to see from an ultimate standpoint. You never see that really in the club scene a lot. And you do see it in the semi-pro scene, though, because a double team is allowed, and it's only when that third person comes within 10 feet that it becomes a penalty. So there's a yardage penalty associated with it, and very quickly there you see the Breeze defense forcing that huck that goes upfield, drifts a little bit too far towards the center of the field, and the Breeze managed to quickly, the deep comes in, steals it away, and you see Brett there put it to Frankie. Hammer throw in the corner. Frankie does a nice job towing it in, and that'll be their second break of the game. And the Breeze now up 7-5. A very different game from these two teams just a short year ago. Actually, I think if memory serves, there was quite a bludgeoning by the Rush last year when the Breeze traveled up to Toronto. Granted, a home game for the Breeze, a little bit different from today. The Breeze getting to play on their home turf, but the Breeze traveling to Toronto, I think, lost the game 40-19, and it was one of the biggest deficits of the year in the AUDL. So you can compare that to today's performance in a very, very different game. And it's that pressure that the Breeze are putting on. Another turnover kind of forced underneath that quickly turns the way of the Breeze, but taking their chances on defense there and a quick throwaway as well. Can't find Ben Fang downfield. So one thing that I've noticed here early in this game, Press, is you're a guy that scored, 30-odd times last year in the league. I think I actually have the number here. 40 goals in the league last year. Pretty impressive. And that was largely by playing a lot of the offensive line. And today I've seen you a lot on defensive line, and another guy that scored a lot of points for the Breeze, Whitehat, I've seen him a lot on the defensive line. Anything that kind of went in, is it how different of an approach to the game is it for you? And there you are right now playing on the defensive line. Is there a real different approach for you to the game to play on the opposite lines you did last year?
A little bit. I mean, defense is always something that I want to work on, and so I've been forced to this year. We just have a lot of talent on the field on our team, and so. And so we're able to put in a really solid O-line. I mean, we obviously didn't score very much last year, hence why we didn't have as good of a record.
Wow, what a play there!
And so it's just kind of they're putting the best people where they are, and thankfully we have a really deep talent pool. And so I played some O-line points in this game on Saturday, but I also played defense. I just go where I'm going to be the most useful, as I feel like everyone's doing.
Yeah. So then, I mean, back to the media. Oh wow, what a great put there to Tyler Thorne into space, and that was by Tyler. So interesting again to see those two guys connecting, and that's the third break of the game. Mm-hmm. Wow. So the Breeze pull ahead by a third break. Pretty exciting, but interesting that it was those two particular guys because we had talked about kind of the chemistry in this early season a little bit, and when push comes to shove, when they're kind of out of options, you see the guys that have played a little bit of club together knowing how each other move and finding each other downfield and in the tight spot. Another turn puts Breeze right back on offense here, and a no-look fake by Brett. Whitehat looks upfield. He finds Ben Fang under. Looks back to Whitehat. A lot of great movement over to Brett. Looking upfield. Doesn't find a lot. Finds Sam in the backfield. Sam Trackman. Trackman looks up line. To AJ, to Ben Fang, and another score. That's up. That's another break. They're rattling them off now. This is looking pretty good for the Breeze. So speak more to the mentality. So when you're on the field and you're playing O-line, how does your mentality... So it sounds like, you said the thing you need to work on maybe is the D-line, and you're being forced to do that a little bit this year. So is it because of your mentality is offensive first, or, so how's your mentality change?
Yeah, offense, my job is just to tire my guy out, and I'm usually pretty all right at just getting open, and so D-line is more... I want to make sure my guy doesn't get open, and he obviously knows where he wants to go before I know where he wants to go a lot of times. So you've got to kind of, I don't know, it's a lot more mental work I feel on defense. Offense, I feel like I have a pretty good flow. I've got to focus a lot more on defense to kind of prevent what they're trying to do.
Okay. So it makes a lot of sense, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So here we see the rush trying for yet another time to score, and they get creative with the throws, and they are able to stick it in. Nope, not quite yet. They're still out. There it is. Yeah. Short pass right on the end zone line.
That's something we noticed during the game is their hammers to the sides really kind of destroyed our zone a little bit. That's the third time we've seen here in this game where they just kind of put it over the top and break our zone. So that's something we worked on this past weekend on our practice after this game was how to stop that from going on.
Yeah, well, they're finding, so you saw the turnovers that they're throwing is when I think their stuff hangs too much a little bit or drifts towards the center of the field. And then you've got that deep positioning for the deep to come in and take it away. It's when they find those two wings that sometimes are downfield pretty deep, sometimes they're just a little shorter on the sides of this very, very wide field, football-sized field, that they're really finding success. And I think you're absolutely right. Those release points, those inverted release points are really able to make those throws happen. So you've got the Breeze on offense now. It's kind of being run by Thorne here. And they are darting upfield, and the Breeze are able to hold serve. They got the two breaks in a row, and then they score with the offensive line right afterwards. So doing quite all right here, and looking to go into half up a couple points, up a couple breaks, which are the hardest thing to come back from. And I think actually with a lot of those rush throws that we were kind of talking about, the inverted stuff, on such a beautiful day like this, those things are going to fall. It'd be really interesting. This matchup would be very different if the weather weren't quite so good, because you see the Breeze willing to throw a nice weather zone. Seemed like there'd be a great D there by Ben again. He's had a couple in this early game. But anyway, weather would make it a lot different situation, I think, too, on the zone defense. So here you've got AJ with the disc, and he's unable to find Liam on the sideline there. Liam chases it a little bit, but can't keep it in bounds and can't get a hold of it. And the rush are going to pick up on offense. This was a rush offensive point to begin with, though, so really they need to start making it happen here. They need to start converting on their offensive lines. They're willing to put off the big fly pretty early, and it can't catch up to the receiver, number 5 there for the rush. Breeze are going to take over. Another chance to break. And it's Sam Trackman back to get the disc. And it looks like the Breeze are going to use a timeout here. So, you can see, look, wow, a great quick D. So the offensive line came in here, and that quickly backfired, it looks like, on Dutchie to come in, put in his O-line, and O-line throws it away, and the rush are going to make up. Oh no, they're not going to make up a break there, but they will convert their offensive point. So talk about talk about the timeout a little bit. Like, obviously we're seeing it being used strategically here, which is very different from club. In club, you're not allowed to make the substitutions. Mm-hmm. In the semi-pro game, you are allowed to make those substitutions. Thorne puts off the big fly, probably intended for tie, but can't reel it in. So talk a little bit more about kind of the strategy. Is there what are the words that are exchanged during the timeout, and particularly maybe that one? What's the slow it down? What's being said in that huddle to kind of change the tempo, to change the pace of the game?
Actually, usually we call the timeouts just to change the line. There's not a lot of time in there, so we're given we have like an O-line and a D-line that we call during a timeout, and if we're making this switch, it's like, all right, timeout's called, D-line get in there and just do work.
Okay.
We kind of all know what it is we need to do, so we're just focusing on.
So maybe talk about some. So you're obviously no one's playing every point at this point in the game. So maybe talk a little bit more. So if the strategy's not happening in that huddle for the timeout, what's the strategy that's occurring on the sideline? What's the chatter that's happening on the sideline in this particular game as you're pulling ahead? You're trying to you're taking down the big dogs at this point, and how you're trying to keep a level head.
At this point, it's just maintain. We don't need to get fancy. We don't need to start taking chancy throws because whatever what we're doing, it was quick give and go offense, and hard cutting and then tight defense. That's actually was getting us as the really good defense on this game. That's been working. So really on the sideline, everyone's just trying to stay amped and stay focused. Focus is incredibly important in this game.
So it's about energy and focus on the sideline.
Yeah.
So you mentioned there briefly some of the things that are working on offense. You want to elaborate a little bit? What do you think are the things that are getting the job done right now? What's the? I mean, you said give and go a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to focus mostly on three-man sets, like work the distance between those three guys and get up the field. Meanwhile, the other players in the field are trying to stretch it deep, kind of clear open keep the space open on the field, so that everyone has a place to go to.
And there, the Rush find their deep target. And they're quickly bringing it back. That's, I think, a break, and DC only up by 1 now, but still a very important break if they can hold on to it here before half. So tell me a little bit more what it means. You say 3-man set. What does that mean?
Just like a handler and then 2 cutters, kind of working in the give-go, and the handler gets it back every other throw or so.
Okay, and there's a big D for the Rush. They put the double team on, is that Ty, and they get it.
On Brett.
On Brett. That was on Brett. And they get a quick throwaway, and this is their chance to tie it up 10-10, actually. So it's about so the 3-man set you're saying is working largely in a vertical slot, not the 3-man set you might think of in terms of like a handler 3-man set. This is cutters working with a handler, and can't reel it in there. The Rush can't.
This is really close to the end of there's maybe 10 seconds left.
10 seconds left in the quarter here. White Hat can't find his guy. That's a quick man, that's tough to see. If the turnover would have been anywhere else in the field, I think they wouldn't have been able to stuff it in there so quick, but the Rush right on the end zone line are able to quickly get the score. It's tied up 10-10, and I think this is already the second half. I think we jumped right into the second half. So it's all knotted up, and unfortunately the Rush, I think, went on 3 breaks there at the end of the quarter, and that negates a lot of the hard work that the Breeze were able to do in the first half to pull ahead. So to finish our thought there, I keep getting sidetracked by the game, which is probably a good thing. I probably should be speaking to the game a decent amount. And there's some distracted again. Some contact gives Alex Thorne 10 yards. But to finish up our thought, so these 3-man sets are working in a kind of vertical pattern, and it's about getting the cut, getting the yardage, but then still finding the hands of the handler on the way back.
Yes. There's so much room in the field. We want to open up enough space for everyone to run to.
And that's Wu with a big D. Tyler picks up the disc here and finds Wu for a score. That's bookends. And you'll see Wu do a little bookends. Gets the D, gets the score. So there's White Hat back to Poole, and he does so, and it'll be the start of a Breeze D-line. Wow, so what you saw there is, the Rush kind of unable to quickly reel in that disc, but they still were able to pick it up and have a pretty uncontested first throw. The Breeze were not too quick in getting down there. Wonder if this is, I guess maybe a D-line that's trying to stay together here. If it's trying to run the zone, it doesn't make a lot of sense to get one guy down there too early. Move as a pack. So I don't know. We as I just said, kind of there was a lot of hard work by the Breeze. Pulled out. They were up by 3 there, and then the Rush came tearing back. Got the 3 breaks at the end of the quarter, tied it up 10-10. You had said kind of the sideline chatter in the first half was about keeping the same as, but then maybe that message changed a little bit during halftime. What do you guys talk about at halftime?
Halftime, actually, we talked about focus. That was our kind of our chant coming out of it, and just. Needing to keep pushing and we were very pleased with how the first half went, and we knew that this team coming in, being the undefeated champion from last season, that putting them on the ropes as we had, the pressure was all on them. We just had to come out, keep playing loose, keep playing, just the game we've been doing, and we were going to be in a good position for this game. Because we were just out here playing and having fun.
Yeah.
The rush was a little worried because they have a lot to do about losing to us.
Sure. I think that was Liam that made a great save there and then instantly put it up, and Tyler reeled it in. And the Breeze still, I guess, on par here this game, but they're actually, the scoreboard says up by 1. And the Rush have a shot here. So I think that's an interesting point, right? Is that you can let this game come to you a little bit if you are putting the pressure on the Rush. They're the ones that hopefully you're the newer team, and a lot of the team is newer to this version of the game. But the early score, the nerves from the early score should really turn around that equation right away and put some of the pressure back on the Rush. Wow, and a great find and a great execution there. The Rush put it in and tie it at 12s. Rush back to Pool. So let's try to follow here a little bit of this Breeze O-line. We've been doing a lot of talking, but maybe we can't see how the Breeze work it here. And they're going to get a brick out of that one. The Pool goes out the back of the end zone. That was a monster Pool. So when the disc goes out the back of the end zone, you get 20 yards automatically. And so you see the Breeze running it up here. Is this John Stone running it up?
This is Josh Norris.
This is Josh Norris. Not as big of a beard as John Stone. Finds Tyler under. Tyler to John Stone. Stone with a throwaway there. Looks like Thorne might have had a piece of that one. Might have been a little strip. I don't know. Refs didn't go for it.
Yeah, that's one thing that's hard in the pro league is the little things like picks and strips, which are hard to see. That you call yourself in, USA Ultimate or club level Ultimate. It's hard for a ref to see that, especially if they're halfway across the field.
Yeah, more nuanced calls, those ones.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the easy ones like contact on the mark. So here's Whitehat on the mark. The Rush with a chance to break. And they do so. Aaron Roberts with a big layout, but can't reel it in there. And there's a shot of the scoreboard showing the Rush, those visitors, up 13-12. So now let's see if the Breeze can come storming back and keep this game exciting. Here's the Breeze offense. At the apex position there's Thorne, gives it to Tyler. Tyler looks upfield and finds Logan. Logan Ryan up the sideline, finds Josh Norris. A little switching of the fields there. It's a give and go with Logan Ryan. And Logan Ryan pretty easily. That's some good movement. And I think a lot of that stemmed from that switching fields. It was getting a little tight on this near sideline. Looking all the way across field really opened up the space. So now we're tied up at 13s. I don't know. So, maybe the next question for you then, Press, is if there's any kind of players you guys are really on the lookout for, and so how's your game strategy being influenced by the individuals on the Rush? Are there players out there that you guys know are the ones to watch, and how does that impact the way that you play D?
Well, definitely Mark Lloyd. He was the playoff MVP last year, and played for Team Canada at the World Game. Is super good player. So we definitely had some lockdown matchups on him, trying to prevent him from doing things. Not that he still got open on us. He's an incredibly good player. Also, Cam Harris is a cutter. Jeff Powell was letting us. He was playing defense for them, but he's just a fast cutter. So when they have to turn, you watch him out. But yeah, those three players just kind of locking them down and really just focusing on good matchups there and keep them uninvolved from the play because they can generate a lot of offense for their team.
So that seems like a tall order there, right? Is to keep them uninvolved in the play. So if you get to choose where a guy like Jeff Powell or a guy like Mark Lloyd beats you, are you making a conscious choice in where you're letting them beat you? Because if as you said, these are guys that are going to get open one way or the other.
most of our style is we don't want the huck going up, so we're generally forcing them under and then putting a flat mark on them initially to stop that huck. We don't want those.
Ooh, wow. Great positional D there by the rush. Heads up play is going to put them on offense.
Yeah, we don't want those big downfield looks coming, because even if it's a turnover deep, that's a lot of field for us to cover.
Yeah, I would say that I am impressed. One of the big metrics that's being used around Ultimate right now is how many throws you need to make per score. And obviously, with every throw, the difficulty increases. Even if it seems like the easiest throw that's out there, it still might only have a 97% chance of being completed. And you throw 100 passes out in, outside with no defense, you still miss at one every now and then. Your hand was in the wrong place, the wind catches it just right. The more throws, the bigger chance you get an unforced drop. And this Breeze defense is doing a really good job making the rush throw a lot of passes. There's a close one. And there's one that sails too far. I mean, one of these is going to drop. This is the 15th throw of the possession by the rush. And sure enough, there's a drop. Or rather, an interception by Jarnell. So the Breeze getting to play some offense with this offensive line. Thorne puts it up and finds Tyler. Right on the end zone line, Tyler to Woo. So tied up at 14s. Moving right through this third quarter here. Rush on offense. And the Breeze putting on that two-man kind of cup, three-man cup if you got Skunk here in the background. It's an interesting way they're doing it, really, is they've got the two men on the disc and then they've got the wing kind of coming in and lagging off. At times almost making it look a little bit like a four-man cup, which leaves a lot of space downfield. And the rush finds some of the space, but great D there by
AJ.
That's AJ. Tried to go over top of him, but he got the D. So here's a chance for the Breeze to break back. Aaron with the disc to Brett. Brett looks over the top. Finds Skunk with a hammer. Skunk to Sam. Sam to Skunk and back again, keeping that disc moving, keeping those stall counts restarting. Sam and Brett with a little give and go. Near sideline. It's Brett to Skunk. These handlers really working at this point. See if they can involve a cutter for some yardage. Sam with the disc. Finds Brett in the middle. Brett to Sam. Here's Danny Denon. Over the top, very creative throw there to Aaron. And in the corner of the end zone, it's Danny Denon with the score. So that was great movement from Danny Denon downfield. He was kind of almost trapped, double-teamed a little bit on this near sideline, but then he got all the way back to the opposite side of the field. Really making that downfield movement work from a cutter's perspective, even though the handlers were the ones that were moving in the backfield. And the rush start up the offense. I don't know. So it looks like it's turning in. There's been a couple kind of back and forth now. No big runaways with the breaks. So I mean, is the style changing here? What's changing in this game? That's what's new and different, right? There was the runs in the first half, and now the second half is being characterized by back and forth, a slugfest.
Sorry, I was distracted by the
Yeah, as you should be. It's a good one. So what's changing now that there no teams going on these runs of breaks? What's changing in the game that it's this slugfest back and forth?
I think it's just everyone's playing a little more conservatively, where they're working those unders, only taking those shots if they're there. I think both teams at this point realize that it's neither side is going to have an easy.
And as you say that, actually, you see the rush try to take the risk and very quickly results in a turnover.
The wind has picked up a little bit at this point of the game. Then when the wind got a little stronger after the first half.
Okay, so that definitely influences the style of play. There's a nice up line by White Hat. Reels it in. He's going to look to swing it. There's Brett and Whitehat. Give and go, give and go. And another strike. Whitehat up line. Gets 10 yards out of it. These guys just running the show right here. Matsuka. And one more time, up line. Finds Whitehat. Whitehat to Matsuka.
Yeah, you see they're having kind of a loose two-man couple on that sideline, but it's just giving too much space.
I think that's looks like a penalty call here, almost a score. Frankie laid out nicely, still brought it in, retaining possession there, but it's going to go back to the thrower, which is Ben Fang. Maybe some contact called there. Matsuka finds Russell in the middle. Russell Howd finds Whitehat in the backfield. Back to Russell. Back to Whitehat. Whitehat getting fouled and still getting the score. I mean, you're absolutely right. These teams are having to grind a little bit to get upfield. Maybe it's partially that wind. Maybe it's partially kind of clamp down defense downfield. But a lot of throws required by the Breeze there, but they stick with it and they get the score. So we get to see another Breeze D-line here. And looks like some contact. Going to give the rush 10 yards. Ooh, Skunk was actually really close to getting that disc. And the deep throw, it was right at the end of the quarter. And that's tough. That's a little bit of a pick in the end zone, unfortunately. Too bad the refs didn't call that. Picks are another one that's really hard to see, another penalty that's really hard to see.
Mm-hmm.
So back on par now with the Rush starting. Rush are down by 1, but they are starting on offense. A chance to bring the score even at 16s, and we enter the fourth quarter. So, I mean, you're typically used to probably playing, and I mean, last year we obviously played a lot of games with the Breeze where it was a single event, a single game. But most of your Ultimate career has probably been defined by playing 2, 3, 4 games in a day.
Mm-hmm.
So is it a mental effort going into the fourth quarter here? Are you still feeling pretty fresh? How your legs feel at this point in the game?
We have a 20-man roster that's active on game day. By this point of the game, I mean, because by this point you're already pretty much done your first game and you're playing your second game without much of a stop. I mean, with average games are about 40 points total. And so you're playing effectively like 1.5 to 2 games of Ultimate without stopping. And so there is a little bit of fatigue, both mental and physical, having to stay at it.
So does that compare to the typical club scene, or at this point you're still feeling pretty good?
It really depends on the game. There have been games where at this point I'm exhausted. In this game in particular, I've been feeling pretty all right. But I'll never forget my first professional game. By the fourth quarter, I was just toast that I ever played. And you wouldn't expect it. Like, it's only one game. It's super easy. But everyone out there is working hard and making everyone else work hard on offense and defense. So it definitely is an exhausting game.
So here are the Rush on offense, having to throw a lot of passes. And that's a great example of having to throw a lot of passes, right? Either the fatigue sets in or just one miscommunication. And big change of possession here. Breeze with a chance to break and go up by 2. It's Sam Trackman with the disc, finds Brett, and a little bit of... Nope, timeout it looks like. So we're going to get to see a Breeze offensive line go on to the field here with a real good opportunity. It's Ty and Thorne. But it looks like a little bit, not quite a miscommunication, execution error. And the Rush put up a big huck right away. That finds its man. He's 15 yards out of the end zone for the Rush. So we talked just there about kind of you feel pretty good in this particular game. You think that's a result of this unique game that you're feeling pretty good? Your time's been managed well, or how you feeling about your state of conditioning this point in the season? And how do you stay conditioned over the course of a season?
I mean, a lot of track work. In this game in particular, I mean, we have a very deep squad, and so we're able to cycle a lot of players in. That way, not one player is having to
bear the brunt
to do so much, which was one of our problems last year. Is if you look at points played overall, like White Hat played more points than I think anybody else in the league.
I think that's true.
And
I don't have the point totals up here, but it was interesting. I was thinking about this before the game. As a guy like Whitehead led the leagues in points played, and then a guy like Lloyd on Toronto that played on a much deeper team played 200 points less than White Hat and still put up pretty similar 51 goal numbers, 29 assists. So a testament to Lloyd, but also a testament to kind of the ability to rely on other players and have a deeper team. So then talk to more about how, so you're in it for the long haul, right? You got to stay in shape and in season for 14 weeks, 18 weeks kind of thing?
Something like that, yeah. And the same is true as it is with club. Like, you want to peak at a certain time. So we're all in pretty decent shape now, but, we still got to hit the track, and the team's been great about sharing their workouts of what we need to do.
Wow, there's a great put into space by Thorne. Finds Tyler. So then, so the DC still looks like they're up by 1, but they're actually on par here. So it's really going to be a game of who can get a break here in this fourth quarter first. Mm-hmm. Well, so how do you aim for this peak then? You talked about wanting to peak at the right time. Is it by increasing the difficulty of your workouts throughout the season? How do you peak?
That's a great question. I think it's just by the nature of the playing and continuing to practice. I mean, a lot of players get used to that winter hibernation from October until March. You generally just don't have to worry about too much. But now, since we're starting, we had tryouts in January that we, but I think just by playing and by continuing to do your workouts longer for the year, you'll just gradually get there. I don't think it's a matter of ramping stuff up because we eventually start having, Memorial Day weekend we have a 2-game weekend. But May 3rd and 4th we play Philly back to back, and so even by that very nature of playing those games, you'll get into shape. And even this weekend, like I said earlier, we had our game on Saturday and then a practice for 3.5 hours on Sunday, with some conditioning thrown in there as well. So you just kind of get used to the running, and it kind of forces you to be in shape.
Yeah. So we've got a tie ball game right now, 17-17, and the Breeze are off. They started this point, I believe, on offense. So actually, it's the Rush's chance to break right now and go ahead for the first time, maybe in this half. There's a chance. Rush still bring it in. Hazara on the mark. And a turnover. Give the Breeze a second shot at this. Here's Alex Thorne, who's going to pick up and start possession. Very flat mark. Don't want him to huck. Looks like the Rush are trying to do now. It's Wu with the disc. Finds Thorne again. And there goes the fly. That's not a problem. Tyler gets the point. So after a risky point in the middle there, the Breeze still pull it together, and they're still on par and up by 1. If the game ends like this on par, the Breeze still have a distinct advantage of winning it at up by 1 like this. The Rush try to fire back. Looks like it's a man-to-man defense this time. First time we've seen that in a little while. Again, maybe you were saying kind of just giving them different looks. They don't know what's coming. Wow. And that hammer is not caught. So the Breeze with a good chance right here. It'll be Brett with a disc. Finds Aaron and back to Brett. Barely retains possession there. He puts up the hook. Oh, but Ben does not have position. Ben Fang not behind his defender there, and a taller defender. Maybe not the best matchup to huck to there. We go field level here. Wow, and that's a great D by Russell. But it looks like a penalty may be called. Maybe a strip, so it looks like they're going to get the point out of it. It's a big break for the Rush. Not a break in that sense. So here's the Rush, here's the Breeze offense. Shramko on the sideline. Here's Tyler. And it looks like Thorne thought he had a shot at that one, a chance at that one. I don't know if he thought he got fouled or thought he might have been in bounds with a strip kind of call. But refs do not buy into it. And it's going to be Rush possession. The huck goes up. Wow. And they reel it in. And that's a big and timely break. And it's tough how that one turns because that almost turned on the referee's call there a little bit. It looked like Thorne thought he might have had either towed it in or had possession of that disc first in the end zone. So, I mean, what's going through your head now, Press, that they get the Rush have gotten the break, and now it's in the Breeze's court to either break back or do something crazy to make this game happen. You know, they've been up the whole time, and now you got a different mentality.
Honestly, the mentality isn't too much different. It's really just fight. We've generated the turns before. We've gotten the breaks before. We've got to keep doing what we're doing.
That was a really heads-up play by the Breeze, actually. There was a turnover there by the Rush right on the end zone line, and it looks like was that Brett that picked it up and just stuffed it right in. Smart play, and that conserves time on this clock, which is going to become important here just in a minute. So you think the mentality more or less stays the same? You know you've done it before, and it's just a matter of resuming that defensive rhythm and trying to get that break?
Exactly.
Makes sense?
I mean, obviously things are tense on the sideline. Like we want to get that break and force those turnovers, but if you get inside your head too much, then you start overthinking it. I think it's really just a matter of will, more so than thinking it to death. You know what I mean?
Yep. So it looks like the Breeze are still throwing the man-to-man stuff now. It's been a little while since they've done the zone approach. And the Rush find the strike there. And let loose the big one. And they reel it in. They're up 20-19. And this clock is winding down quickly. I think there's about 2 minutes left if memory serves. The Breeze need to stuff this one in, and then they're going to have a big opportunity to break. Let's see if they can do it. Tyler with the disc. He looks over the top, big hammer, but it is far off the mark. And so the Rush resume possession. There's about a minute left in the game. So the Breeze unable to get that offensive point. See, they need a break, and then they need to get the D here and then break to try to make this game happen, or at least get the D here to send it into overtime. And the Rush should be trying to play a game of possession. If you're dealing with a team kind of trying to play this possession game, run off minutes on the clock, how does that impact kind of the risks you're willing to take as a defender, Press?
Yeah, I mean, you can see at this point the Rush is just trying to maintain possession and, like you said, take time off the clock to prevent us from having a chance to come back. And so you both want to generate.
Ooh, and there was a big chance.
You want to generate the D, but you don't want to overcommit. Like if you lay out and miss and give them a wide open throw to the end zone, that puts you down 2 instead of down 1.
Right.
So it's kind of that contain and try and that force force bad decisions that we can take advantage of.
Oh, but there's a turn. That's what we needed. A hand block. Yeah, it looks like it was Wu with a hand block, and instantly the throw goes off as time expires. But the Breeze, wow, that would have sent it into overtime, that catch right there. But just a little bit out through the defender. So there's your final score. My name's Greg Esser, and I've been here with John Pressimone today, and I thank him for that. Hopefully we'll get some more recordings this year of the DC Breeze as we take on the rest of the league. Unfortunately, we cannot take down the still undefeated Toronto Rush, but there's going to be one more opportunity up in Toronto to do just that, and I'm sure that this game will give the Breeze some food for thought and some of the same video that you watched here today to look at and try to deduce new strategies, new ways to take down those defending champions. The next Breeze game occurs, I think, on the road next weekend.
No, we are off this coming weekend, and our next game is the 27th at home against Rochester.
Well, I'm glad you know it, because it sounds like I don't. So you can see the DC Breeze at the University of Maryland in 2 weeks' time, and I will be there for the game day, and I will be joined by yet another co-host for our next recording of the games. Thanks a lot for joining us today, and have a pleasant tomorrow.